I'm going to confront my husband about how I suspect he's cheating once he gets home. Hello everyone, I'm 27 female, I have a husband who is 32 male. We've been married for 4 years, and I think he's cheating on me, and I'm going to talk to him when he comes home, and I'm nervous, so I'm here. I think he's cheating with a woman from down the street. I've noticed them getting closer for a while, even though I've never actually seen them together. When I asked him about it, he said, "Oh, we run into each other sometimes and catch up." We both have Life 360 on our phones. Not for any particular reason, just safety really, since we used to live in a pretty bad area, and about a month ago, he switched it so that a lot of the times he's in a bubble, so it gives an approximate location for him, not an exact. When I asked him why, he just said he doesn't know why or how it does it. We had a block party over the weekend, and I walked into the kitchen to find them standing very close, and his hand was in her hair. When I asked him about it later, he said, "Oh, I thought she had a bug in her hair." He keeps getting up in the middle of the night to go make phone calls. When I ask him about it, he just says that he can't sleep and he's playing games, and that he's just talking to himself. I feel like even if he's not cheating, he's still not being honest. I just want him to tell me the truth, but I'm nervous and I don't know what to do, so I'm looking for any advice. And now in the comments, be prepared for him to lie, to paint you as crazy, to be hurt that you could even suspect him. He will flip the script and make this about you and your insecurities. He may tell you that you are controlling. Don't let him. Stand firm. Be prepared for him to trickle truth. Don't let him take you for a fool, because he'll definitely try. In fact, delay confronting him until you're in a better place mentally and have accepted that he is cheating. Have some evidence and have a concrete plan for how you'll deal with the aftermath. He is going to continue to deny it. You will need solid proof for him to admit anything. Can you look at the cell phone records to see who he's been calling late at night? That's a good start. There you go. Confront him with that and the fact that you called the number to confirm, and he'll fold so fast. He'll have no leg to stand on with his bullcrap. Exactly. This is the way I confronted my ex when I caught him. Full-on spreadsheets of times and lengths of his calls to her. He had nothing. Ah crap, that hurts like hell. I'm sorry. The other advice is good. Don't confront until you have the answers ready. When we confront, I think we are finally looking for a full confession, a capitulation. Acknowledgement that you've been right all along. Details, honesty. Most importantly, we are looking for remorse, apology, an agreement for restitution starting now. We want it to go back to the day before we knew. We want to be wrong, be reassured that our relationship is strong, the fairy tale. That is not what happens. He knows you know. He thinks he's been convincing you his lies are truth. He knows how much more you don't know. He has built a world and you are not in it. You know the saying, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, he's a duck. Momentarily he can deny it to your face, have you in some doubt for a little while longer. Don't let him. Don't show your hand, collect hard evidence, screenshots, audio, video, and even with that he'll deny it. But do it anyway. Collect the evidence for you, your own sanity, not for him. With evidence, take your time, don't let your anger at the betrayal sidetrack you, play the game a little longer, and then decide the outcome you want. You no longer need to confront him. First, you make and start to implement your plans, your future. This way, you may avoid months and years of heartache, self-doubt, self-loathing, fear, hurt, and questioning. But I guess we all gotta do it in our own way. And now, onto the update. Hello everyone. I posted yesterday about how I suspected my husband of cheating. I know a lot of people told me to wait until I had solid proof, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't pretend anymore. I already haven't been able to sleep. I couldn't do it for another day. So when he came home, I told him everything. I said basically everything I said here, and I asked him flat out if he was cheating. And he said even though they haven't physically cheated, he did have feelings for her and he wanted to be physical with her. He is staying with his friend, and I'm going to contact a divorce lawyer tomorrow. I still don't know how to tell my friends or family, and other than here, I haven't told anyone. Now in the comments, you tell your friends and family the truth. Do not protect him. This was his choice, so he has to deal with the consequences. Keep your head up. You will be so much stronger. And the truth is, he had an emotional affair. These feelings didn't come and smack him on the head out of the blue. And that is if he is telling the truth. OP caught him with his hand in her hair at a party, so it's not a push to think that they have gone further in private. I am so sorry. I'm glad he finally decided to fess up, and I'm even more glad that you are protecting yourself from further deception by contacting a divorce lawyer. I'm curious, is she also married? OP says, thank you very much. No, she's not married. You deserve better, and now you'll find better whenever you're ready. You're a strong woman and deserve a faithful husband. I'm sorry, OP. I know how much this hurts. I'm glad for your sake that he was honest. Has he tried to explain or reach out to you? Did he admit that she is who he has been calling and texting in the middle of the night? And OP says, thank you very much. No, he hasn't really explained other than saying what was happening. Yes, he did say that it was her that he was talking to. As someone who was cheated on physically and emotionally, I get what you're feeling. People may think because they hadn't slept together yet that it isn't cheating, but it is. Emotional cheating hurts. It is still a betrayal. He crossed a line, betrayed your trust, and broke his vows and promises to you. Never underestimate a woman's intuition. That was his first mistake. Do what you need to do to protect yourself. If divorce and leaving him is the best choice for you, do it. Someone has to think of your well-being, because your husband certainly hasn't been. If you do decide to stay with him, that is your choice too, but require him to be accountable and honest about his intentions and actions. Take care of yourself. Our next post is titled, The woman I am seeing, non-exclusive, left the party with another man in front of me. Now she is calling me again. So, we have been dating non-exclusively for about a month now. We went to this party together, I drove, and was going to remain sober as I had to drive us back too. Around 2 hours into the party, she suddenly came towards me, with a guy in tow, and told me that she would be leaving with him tonight, and I didn't have to worry about her. She stood for almost a minute after telling me this, and kept looking back at me till she was out of view. I was of course very disappointed, as I really liked her, but well, what can you do? But she called me 2 days later and asked if I wanted to hang out. I was confused, but I didn't really say anything except I'm busy, maybe later? And she said cool, let me know when you're free and we'll schedule something. I don't know Reddit, why would she call me afterwards? Technically she didn't do anything wrong, but what she did obviously hurt me. She must know that. Then why call me afterwards? Any advice? And now in the comments, okay, I'm 30, been in a relationship 8 years, and actually had to recheck how old you both were because again, this comes across as two 18-year-olds. You are grown adults. Communicate. What is with the games of her testing your interest and you making a decision by Friday about exclusivity? Dating culture these days just sounds so incredibly immature and so much more complicated than it needs to be every time I hear a story from someone. You want her? Then make it exclusive and put this game-playing bullcrap behind you. And OP says, I do want to see where it goes if I'm being honest. If you two want to be together, then you both need to learn how to communicate with each other better. You guys are almost 30. It's time to stop playing games and start approaching these problems like adults. She is 28 and should communicate, not play games. I agree, but I do sympathize because dudes can be weird when you are straight with them. I told a guy that I had a huge crush on him after 2 months of dating, and he said that I was pressuring him to say something he is not ready to say. Dude was 45, I'm 37. Who has time for this? It does spook you, and you don't want to scare someone away. She definitely screwed up, but she is significantly younger than I am, and I was a little screwed up by the 45-year-old's response to me. Men, hashtag not all men, get so weird about exclusivity and commitment. Your experience is so common. Many want all the benefits of exclusive dating without ever having to say the words or actually commit. I'm not surprised this woman reacted this way to her recent experiences. It's not ideal, but dating is a mess. She didn't want to come off as clingy and insecure, so she decided to play mind games and making you hurt, possibly jealous, instead? Assuming what she told him was true, it sounds like she isn't particularly experienced nor confident in the dating world. Given that, it's not surprising she ended up doing something stupid. As long as she can communicate clearly in the future, and this isn't a sign of how she deals with issues, I don't see a problem here. And now on to the update. So the general consensus among the comments I read before going out, it was 100 comments till then, was that I shouldn't talk to her, but I really wanted to talk to her and get her side. There were 2 reasons. Firstly, I was genuinely surprised with this behavior of hers, as this is not how she behaves normally, and secondly, I really like her. So I decided to meet her for a cup of coffee. When we met, I told her how hurtful her actions were that night, and although we were not exclusive, that is not how you treat someone that you like. She was very apologetic and told me that she didn't hook up with the guy and he just gave her a ride home. She showed me a text that she sent him around 45 minutes after she left the party, where she told him, "Thanks for the ride." Then she told me that she just wanted me to say something to her or stop her. Anything to show that I was interested in going official with her, but when I didn't say anything, she just decided to go home. So then I asked why not ask me, and then she went on a mini rant of sorts. She said when she asked the last guy to go exclusive after 3 weeks of dating, he called her insecure and clingy and laughed at her for being out of touch of the dating realities. She also said that he told her that no one would want to be exclusive before 2 months, so she's just playing herself by hoping for exclusivity so early. She obviously broke up with him, but she told me that his words have obviously stayed with her. And when she and I didn't discuss exclusivity, even after 1 month, she feared that history was repeating itself again, so she was desperate for any sign of my interest. She also says she didn't want to come off as clingy or insecure without getting any sign from me. That's why she didn't initiate the exclusivity conversation with me. She does seem to be very sorry and wants us to continue dating exclusively. I am torn right now. I obviously like her and want to see where it goes, but I'm also hurt. But then again, everyone makes mistakes sometimes. Does that mean that I should ignore our obvious chemistry and potential? Oh, and also, she was pretty drunk that night, so that didn't help too. I have asked till Friday to tell her my decision. Any advice? And update number 2, so I just came back after having dinner with her, and I asked her to be my girlfriend, and she accepted it instantly. So that's settled. Also, I told her to refrain from any games and testing in the future, and just to talk to me if she has any issues or doubts, and she agreed. I reminded her that although we had a rough start to our relationship, we can make the next phase a much smoother one if we just agreed to communicate even on the difficult issues, and she was in complete agreement. Since it was our first date as officially boyfriend and girlfriend, I thought not to push the issue, and then we went for dinner to her favorite sushi place. I still can't eat well with chopsticks, so I had to use a fork while she ate sushi with chopsticks like a boss. So that was the update. We are exclusive boyfriend and girlfriend now, and I am really happy. Thank you all for those of you who made me realize that waiting till Friday was futile. Thank God that after that messy start, they both decided to use their actual communication skills. It's fun seeing the moments people learn how to be adults. Aw, this reminds me of something I witnessed as a young teen. My mum worked at this coffee shop, and I would hang out there after school for a couple of hours every day until she was able to take us home. Once I saw these 2 people, a guy and a girl, enter separately a few minutes apart. They started chatting in line, chatted from their separate tables, finally decided to share a table, then spent the next 2 hours talking and laughing. They were exchanging numbers by the time I left. I was just astounded. Felt like I got to watch a meet cute in person, while peering over my homework. Before that, I didn't realize people met like that in real life. I thought it was just in movies. I still wonder if it worked out between them. Communication is better than games. Totally agree, but it's sad in this story that you can see why well-intentioned people learn to play games sometimes. Ideally, you were mature about it to not internalize the message the girlfriend's shitty ex-boyfriend told her, but it's not so easy to do, especially as so many people are told that their validation comes from the opposite sex. I'm glad it worked out for the two of them. I've heard of an analogy that falling in love is akin to giving them a gun and trusting them not to shoot you. It's human nature to be hurt by harsh words by someone you really like a lot. I wouldn't necessarily put this as only a validation issue. It's situations like this when I'm glad that when I was dating, I tried my hardest to make sure that I treated everyone, whether it was working out or not, with kindness and respect. That way, they wouldn't be left with the idea that mind games like that are healthy ways of treating other people. To do otherwise not only hurts them in the moment, but can potentially hurt them for other relationships down the line. Hopefully both have learned lessons that games and relationships suck, and communication is the cornerstone that you build upon. Our next post is titled, "Mother-in-law just called my kid the K slur, Jewish. Boyfriend insists that she said tyke. I know what I heard." So apparently I can't use the word, so I'll just say K. If in doubt, just Google Jewish slur K. I'm Jewish. My son looks like a mix of both myself and my boyfriend in my opinion, but mother-in-law, on meeting her first ever grandchild for the first time ever, says it was a shame he came out a K. The second I heard that, I asked her to leave. Boyfriend said she didn't say K, she said tyke, which rhymes with K and is British slang for a small child. We are British. And mother-in-law agreed with him. But mother-in-law saying it was a shame that he came out a tyke makes no sense. And when I pointed that out to mother-in-law, said that she said she knew he'd be a tyke. Boyfriend then repeated that and continued to repeat that until I asked both mother-in-law and boyfriend to leave. He is now at his place and is texting me, repeating mother-in-law's story. I admit that K and tyke sound similar, but there is no way that I misheard. I knew he would be as a shame he came out and even with the fact tyke means cheeky, my son was sleeping and not doing anything remotely cheeky, and saying it was a shame he came out a small child makes no sense. This is also not the only time that I've felt mother-in-law was being anti-Semitic, and boyfriend has insisted that she wasn't, and I've misunderstood, misinterpreted, and misheard, and I'm getting pretty tired of him insisting that I'm wrong about her being anti-Semitic. I cannot and will not let my son grow up around anti-Semitism, but nothing can be resolved unless she is willing to admit what she said and talk it out, which she won't. And boyfriend is siding with mother-in-law when we are meant to be a team here, which is not helping. What should I do? Edit, the other times that I thought mother-in-law was anti-Semitic. She has refused to eat things that I have cooked because she doesn't eat kosher/Jewish food. I have made things like fish and chips before now so she couldn't claim that it was Jewish, and she still refused on the basis that she doesn't eat kosher food. My boyfriend told her his Hebrew name, and she called it gibberish, and she calls any uses of Hebrew, or occasional Yiddish, gibberish. I get a healthy natural tan in summer due to my heritage, and she said my fake tanning makes me too dark, and asked me where I'm really from. She did not find England an acceptable answer. My boyfriend has defended all of this. And now in the comments, shame he came out a tyke literally makes no sense. Tyke is British slang for a child. You would never ever say, shame he came out a tyke. Why? Because it makes absolutely no sense. Oh, it's a shame your child came out a child. Give me a break, lady. You're racist, and it's unthinkable that you'd say that to your grandson. OP says, yeah. It's such a shame that my baby came out a baby. I was hoping for a fully grown man with a mortgage and kids of his own. It was so jarring to me to hear her say that. All I could think was I wanted her out now. Honestly, right now they are trying to make you doubt yourself. Give it a couple days, and the story will miraculously switch to, but it wasn't that bad, it's just a word. As a Jewish person who's been on the receiving end of some, typically, microaggressions, This is so far beyond the pale that I came into your post skeptical. Having read it, there is no doubt she said the K word, and my only question is whether she might have said, "Shame he came out of a K," which would be equally unacceptable. If you can access couples therapy, I think that would be your best move. Your boyfriend needs to be on your side and needs to understand that your shared child is Jewish. I think it's also fair to say that mother-in-law gets no access to your son until you're able to talk it through with and get advice from a couples therapist. You did the right thing by calling her out and making her leave. I'm so sorry that you are going through this. And OP responds, "Thinking about it now, there is a chance that she said out of a. But to me, the finer details don't matter. Just the fact that she came into my home and used the word K is enough for me. Boyfriend and I already had a round of couples therapy when I was pregnant, and in that therapy we agreed that while our son is Jewish by descent, and I would be allowed to expose him to elements of Judaism as he grew up, boyfriend was going to do the same with Catholicism, and our son would decide for himself later in life. Boyfriend, who wanted to raise him straight Christian, was not happy with this outcome, and said that he wouldn't go back to therapy in the future. Thank you. If he wanted to raise his kid Christian, why be with a woman who is Jewish? I don't understand this. If you're going to do the deed and the result can be a kid, why not consider all factors that comes with the mother-to-be before bussin' a nut? Not coming at you, OP, but I just see so many of these, and it shocks me and annoys me every time. OP says, "Your guess is as good as mine. We live in a predominantly Christian area, so it's not like he couldn't have found a Christian girl to have a kid with. He had an interest in my faith and culture early on, having not really been exposed to it before that. So sometimes I feel like it was a novelty to him, and that novelty has since worn off. So, like an Asian fetish, there is a Jewish fetish. Damn, people like to fetishize things and you can't detect them early enough." OP replies, "I think it's more of a, you are nothing like my mother fetish. I thought I was pretty good at weeding those guys out, but I'm reconsidering. The problem with your custody agreement is it can't protect your son from his anti-Semitic grandma and father when it's not your time. You need to document everything and bring it to a judge so revisions or adjustments could be made. I recommend speaking to a family lawyer now to figure out how to plan things. Every Jewish kid knows what it's like to be called slurs and hear derogatory comments. I was lucky enough to be in first grade before I even heard it. Don't expose your child to a situation where he's growing up, hearing it from the people who are supposed to love him. You know what you heard. I believe you. It makes no sense for her to have said tyke. The best possible interpretation is that she didn't think of the K word as that bad. Something we, as Jews, have to deal with all the time. It's an acceptable form of discrimination, apparently. So all she meant by that was that it was a shame he came out looking Jewish. None of that is okay. All of that is bad. You can't even move forward with these two if they're lying and not admitting to the reality of what happened. Keep your vulnerable baby away from them. And now on to the update. I sat boyfriend down the day after I made my post and told him that I know what I heard and I wasn't going to let him and his mother manipulate me into thinking I heard something different. He then said that she didn't mean to call me that, but she had never said it about our son. So the person who suggested that mother-in-law actually said that it was a shame he came out of a K, as opposed to shame he came out a K, which is what I thought she said, you were right. Mother-in-law wasn't calling my son a slur, she was calling me a slur. Which I then realized my boyfriend was using as a defense of his mother. I asked him if he was ever going to stand up for me, or our son, against a woman who was so clearly an anti-Semite. And he said that his mother isn't an anti-Semite, and even if she was, which she isn't, our son isn't Jewish, so it's not like she'd be anti-Semitic to him, and he personally wasn't anti-Semitic either. I told him that I have a duty of care to both myself and our Jewish son, so I would uphold the custody agreement we already have. He gets 1 weekend a month, and I would civilly co-parent for the sake of our child. But I had no interest in pursuing our relationship further, and I asked him to leave. He spent the next few days trying to get me to reconsider, but I haven't heard from him at all in the last 48 hours. so I think he has accepted my choice. According to the schedule, he's meant to have our son this weekend, but I have not heard from him about this as of right now, and I appear to be blocked. I also got a text from mother-in-law letting me know that she's going for grandparents' rights and visitation, which has to be an empty threat, as a 2-minute Google has already confirmed that she won't get it, but I'll check with a lawyer ASAP just to reassure myself. And now in the comments, spineless expletives, these people. I'm sorry for that situation. I believe you absolutely did the right thing. OP says, expletives implies warmth and depth, but thank you. I feel like I did the right thing, which is strange because I was expecting to be doubting myself after this, but I'm just not. I feel like I did the right thing. How delusional is this guy? Please inform him that his son is indeed Jewish, seeing as how his mother is Jewish. OP replies, I did tell him that. He doesn't believe it because we agreed to raise our son with both my Jewish and his Catholic faith and let our son decide later. I told him that doesn't stop our son being ethnically Jewish or Jewish by descent, but X insisted that it did. The fact that your ex is adamantly pushing that your son isn't Jewish so much shows that he shares the same views as his mum, which is why he agreed that she could call you a racist slur and that wasn't crossing a line. But he and his mum drew a line at a racial slur being used towards his son. Be careful. They are clearly going to do everything to erase your son's Jewish identity and teach him not to identify as being Jewish. What a crappy defense. She wasn't calling our son this, she was calling you this. But she's not an anti-Semite, eh? Because she didn't mean to call her that. She meant to say what a lovely boy, but accidentally called OP a slur instead. Happens all the time, no big deal. Sarcasm, obviously. That woman is obviously the worst. I detest the I didn't mean to excuse. Who cares if you didn't mean it? That's not the point. If I want to give my friend a gift, but instead trip and throw it at them when I fall, obviously I didn't mean to fling a present into their face, but the fact stands that I did. If I refuse to help or apologize, then I'm a horrible person. Anyone with a shred of empathy or basic decency would check on their friend. Are you okay? I'm so sorry. Rather than, it wasn't on purpose, it wasn't what I meant to do, so I don't care that you're hurt. How dare you act aggrieved? The same as, I didn't mean it. Well, you still said and did it, and it still impacted the person. If you genuinely are not bothered that your words or actions hurt another person, then there is a very serious problem with your empathy. It's a basic refusal to take responsibility for one's own actions, using intent, or lack thereof, as if it somehow is an excuse. Most people grow past this during childhood, or during their early teen years at the latest. I would have loved to see the ex's thought process during the confrontation. Okay, so she's not buying the tyke thing. I know, I'll say that my mother was racially insulting her instead of our child. This is a flawless plan. If I just bullcrap her hard enough and look like I believe it, I'll get to date my girlfriend and still sleep in mommy's bed when I have a nightmare. This will be flawless. Anyway guys, that's all for today. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.